The playoffs are behind us. The Red Sox have held their end-of-season press conference. And before we get into all the trades, all the free agency rumors, all this, that, and the other, I thought it would be a good opportunity to reminisce on the 2025 Boston Red Sox season. So today, we're going to hand out some Red Sox awards. Shout out to the Play Tessie crew. This is their template. I wanted to give it my spin as well. So we're going to talk MVP, Cy Young, Breakout, Surprise, and Disappointment. Before we get into today's video, we are always trying to grow here at the Red Sox Rundown. That is the goal, by the way. And we are pushing to our next goal of 7,000 subscribers. I got a deal for you. If we get 20 new subscribers on today's video, at some point later this week, we will do a fan-led Q&A. All your questions about free agency, trades, opt-outs, roster construction, all of the above, 20 new subs. If we get there, we'll do a Q&A. So sub and join us. Daily Red Sox coverage right here on the Red Sox Rundown. MVP. This was tough. I'm not going to lie. This was tough. There's many names you could talk about here. You could talk about Garrett Crochet, who we'll talk about in a little bit. You could make an argument for Roman Anthony with how the offense imploded after he got injured. You could make an argument for a bunch of people. But I think Trevor Story was by far the most valuable player on the Red Sox this season. On a base level, his stats look good. 263 average, 741 OPS, 25 homers. I believe, if I remember correctly, I don't have it in front of me, that led the team. 96 RBIs, a 104 OPS plus. But it's not just the stats on paper. It's the fact that Story posted that was so valuable. Because you know what Trevor Story can bring to the table. Close to elite defense, although at the end of the season that petered off a little bit. We saw the offensive output. He was hitting the ball. We saw him in the postseason. He was basically the sole purpose the Red Sox were even close in a few of those games against the Yankees. Trevor Story is a valuable piece to this team, and he was the one that posted all season long. Bregman didn't post all season long. Anthony didn't post all season long. Everyone had some sort of injuries at some point, minus maybe like a Duran who played basically the entire season, a Sedon who didn't really get hurt. But other than that, Story posted. And when he has a reputation, these are his seasons since he signed that big contract with the Red Sox, he misses games. 94 in his first season with the Sox, 43, 26, and then this season 157. That's incredibly valuable. Most of us wanted Trevor Story DFA'd at the beginning of the year. I was a part of that. I said he should have been DFA'd. You can go look up Jack Lautaret, Trevor Story tweets. I'm sure I posted multiple times. Get him off my team, DFA him, because he didn't start the season well. But he took that personally, and he ended up being one of the offensive leaders, one of the defensive leaders, playing incredible defense at short. Again, it petered off at the end of the season, but for the most part, he was fairly consistent at short. And he was also a clubhouse leader, helping mentor these young guys. He had the Story camp the year before, bringing in Meyer and Anthony to get work before they were even guaranteed a roster spot. Trevor Story, time and time again, proved why he was one of, if not, in my opinion, was the most valuable player on the Red Sox this season. Who was your 2025 Red Sox MVP? Again, there is a big argument for multiple players. One of them we're about to talk about, by the way. Huge arguments. So I want to hear your thoughts. Mine's Trevor Story, but you let me know. Who's your 2025 Red Sox MVP? Let me know down below in the comment section. I think the person that had the second best argument is Garrett Crochet. And he is clearly, by far, the most obvious choice for Red Sox Cy Young. I mean, just look at the numbers. I think he's got an argument to win the actual Cy Young. And we all have to remember, this is Garrett Crochet's first season as a starter with no limits, no training wheels. He puts up 205 in a third innings. I believe that's tied for most in all of baseball. A 2.59 ERA. Fantastic. 255 strikeouts, the most in baseball. I know that for a fact. To only 46 walks and a FIP of 2.89. I'm just going to say this. Without Crochet, you miss the playoffs. I will say that with my chest. You do not make the playoffs if Garrett Crochet is not on this team. And that's another argument of why he would be perfect for most valuable player. That's an argument. I know people are going to be really mad at me for picking Trevor Story over Garrett Crochet. Garrett Crochet has an incredibly solid argument to be the most valuable player on this team. And he proved it in the playoffs as well. When you needed him most. 7 2/3 innings. 4 hits. 1 run. 11 Ks. No walks. In hostile territory. At Yankee Stadium. Against Max Fried. You outdueled Max Fried. And Garrett Crochet carried the Red Sox to their lone playoff win. And it's not even, and further than that, Garrett Crochet was the guy all season long that you knew when you needed a pitcher to pick up this struggling offensive team. We saw that at the end of the season when he was shoving every start. You knew that whenever he towed the rubber, he was going to get it done. That's the work of an ace. That's the work of a Cy Young, and he's the Cy Young for the Red Sox this season. Let's talk about breakout. Carlos Narvaez. I think this one is also probably a little more fairly obvious because myself, at least, I was not in tune with prospects going into this season, like prospects of other teams. I had no idea what Carlos Narvaez was. And then he bursts onto the scene, and he gives you a damn good season. 241 average, of course, you want that to get up. But again, he's a catcher, so comparatively. A 726 OPS, 15 home runs and 50 RBIs, and an OPS plus of 100. A lot of people forget that Carlos Narvaez was traded for the same day the Red Sox traded for Garrett Crochet. And we had no idea who Carlos Narvaez was. We were like, oh, the Red Sox made a little trade. They got, catcher, backup catcher to Connor Wild. Yeah, great. But we got Garrett Crochet. Well, Carlos Narvaez ended up being one of your most valuable pieces on your team. And I didn't even mention the defensive side. He was one of the best defensive catchers in all of baseball as a rookie. And then you add this. We talked about this in yesterday's video. Craig Breslow announced that Carlos Narvaez was going to have minor knee surgery to clean up his meniscus this week. He did that on a busted up knee. Are you kidding me? That's an impressive season from the captain. Carlos Narvaez is the catcher of the future. I will continue to say, and I think most Red Sox fans will say, that the Red Sox fleeced the Yankees. Now, you could argue, hey, maybe the prospect they gave away ends up being really good. Cool. We got our catcher of the future, who played pretty damn well this year, and also played really well against the Yankees. Like we said, Carlos Narvaez is having surgery, and I want to show him some love. We did this on yesterday's video, but I want to do it again. I want to put out the good vibes. Spam your 75s in the comments. Show some love to Carlos Narvaez. The surgery, according to Breslow, is supposed to be pretty straightforward. He should be ready for spring training, but again, none of us are doctors here. We have no idea. Setbacks could happen. Things could happen. So wish him well. Hopefully he heals quickly. Spam your 75s in the comments down below. Let's talk about surprise. This might not be a surprise for, the people that are like deep in the weeds on prospects and stuff. Admittedly, I'm getting better, but I'm still learning, the system and the prospects and all of that. Connelly Early is my biggest surprise of the year. We were talking about Peyton Tolley. We were talking about Richard Fitz. We were talking about Hunter Dobbins. We were talking about all of these guys. Connelly Early at the beginning of the season, I believe, you have to quote me if I'm wrong, I believe he was in Double-A. He wasn't even in Worcester yet. And he comes out and gives you 19 1/3, a 2.33 ERA, 29 Ks to 4 walks, a FIP of 0.91. That's ridiculous. He burst onto the scene late this year when you needed him to. You DFA, you outright released Walker Buehler. Lucas Giolito ended up getting hurt. You needed someone to fill innings. Dustin May ended up getting thrown on the phantom IL or getting hurt. You needed someone to fill innings, and Connelly Early did that. And then when Giolito didn't make the postseason roster because he was hurt, you needed someone for Game 3. Connelly Early was the guy. Now, this stat line is going to fool a lot of people if they didn't actually watch the game. 3 2/3 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned runs. Earned runs. There was 4 runs, but 3 earned runs. 6 Ks, 1 walk. That stat line is not Early's fault. If you watch the game, you know that. The Red Sox made a lot of miscues. Not all of them were deemed errors, but a lot of defensive miscues, a lot of bad plays in the field, a lot of miscommunication. That cost Early runs. That outing's not on Connelly Early. That outing is on the defense. Like, he did everything he could have. And he locked down the Yankees for a majority of his outing. And because of that, I think he's earned a spot in the 2026 rotation. I do. I think it's Garrett Crochet. I think it's a starter you acquire in the offseason. I think it's Brian Bayo. I think it's Connelly Early. And then you've got a pool of guys coming back from injury that can be your number 5. Or you sign someone. I don't know. But I think that for certain, Connelly Early has earned his spot in the 2026 rotation. He is a pitcher. He's got the pitchability of dreams. He doesn't have the most overpowering stuff, although his stuff is still pretty damn good. But he's got the pitchability to be a pitcher. Peyton Tolley is a thrower of the baseball. He's not a pitcher. He can become a pitcher. He can refine that. But Connelly Early's a pitcher. He knows how to work sequences. He knows how to tunnel. He knows how to do all of these things. And he's a rookie. He made 4 starts this year. That's impressive. So he was by far, even though he was a limited sample size, my biggest surprise of 2025. Has Connelly Early earned his 2026 rotation spot? You let me know. Why for yes if you think he has, and for no if you think he has not. You let me know down below in the comments. I think it's a certainty, in my opinion. But again, you let me know. Has Connelly Early earned his 2026 rotation spot? Last but not least, we have disappointment. It's Walker Buehler. This one leaves a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth because Buehler, I wanted him to work. I really did. I was really excited when the Red Sox signed him. I remember texting my dad. I'm like, we got Buehler. Like, I was really excited when they signed him. And he fully committed to Boston, the culture, everything around it, the fan base. Like, he was a Boston guy. He was a guy that you could see on the mound and be like, yes, this guy was meant to be a member of the Boston Red Sox. And then it just didn't work out that well. 112 and a third innings, 5.45 ERA, 84 Ks to 55 walks. That is a disgusting ratio, might I add. And a FIP of 560, or FIP of 590, excuse me. So it wasn't even the defense. It was the defense actually saved him some runs at the end of the day. He did post, which was important. He did eat innings, but it wasn't great. It wasn't pretty. A lot of those times you end up losing the ball game. So I commend him on his efforts of posting. I commend him on his efforts of eating innings, but they were ugly innings more often than not. And while he did have some bright spots, he had some good starts. From what we were expecting from him as like your potential number 3 starter, he ended up being your number 5. Then he got demoted to the bullpen. And then before he could even make an appearance out of the bullpen, they just outright released him. Disappointing, I believe, is an understatement for Walker Buehler. So here they are. Here are my awards. Again, these are subjective. These are my thoughts. You can completely agree or disagree with them. It's totally up to you. My MVP is Trevor Story. My Cy Young is Garrett Crochet. I give Carlos Narvaez my biggest breakout. Connelly Early is my biggest surprise. And Walker Buehler is my biggest disappointment. You can agree or disagree with me down below in the comments. You let me know what your thoughts are. You fill this out. This is your prompt. You fill this out down below in the comments. I want to see everyone's awards down below. That's it, guys. Thank you all so much for taking the time to watch this edition of the Red Sox Rundown. Like I said at the beginning of the video, can we get 20 new subscribers on this video? If we do, I will do a Q&A later this week. We can talk anything. We can talk trade rumors, free agency rumors, what my ideal offseason is. We can talk about literally everything, and it'll be driven by the viewers. All I want you to do, I want 20 new people to hit that subscribe button right now. Then, if we do, we'll do a Q&A later on this week. That's it, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. We'll see you tomorrow for another video, and until next time, go Sox.